Hello and welcome back to another video. So today I've got a whole bunch of news to cover. Now this news sort of varies. There's some patch 6.1 PTR stuff, and then some just general things about the 6.1 release date, the Blackrock Foundry release schedule, which is definitely very interesting, and various other things like that. But first, I'm going to talk about something that's actually damn cool. So, there was a thing called veteran status that was data mined, and a lot of people were thinking, what, a veteran account? Does this mean free to play? What does this mean? Well, the good news is Bashiok popped onto the forums and basically let us know. He said that essentially there's a bit of a strange disparity between the way accounts work at the minute. If you've got a account with a subscription and then your subscription lapses, then you can't play the game. When you try to log in, it says, "Oi, give us money," which I suppose makes a bit of sense. But if you've got a starter account, you can play for free forever just with those restrictions. So essentially what a veteran status thing is that if you have a regular World of Warcraft account and then your subscription lapses, well, you won't be able to log into your characters above level 20. Like, you'll be able to basically just revert back to the restrictions of the starter edition, and then once you resub, you'll be able to continue on with your high level characters. This is kind of nice. I mean, maybe there might be a time in a month where you just, for a month you just won't be able to play that much, but maybe if you want to just pop in and mess around with some low-level characters, that's fine, you've got the freedom to do that. And I suppose one benefit of that for Blizzard is that they do have sort of more people logging in, padding out their numbers and various things like that. I actually think it's a really, really cool system, and again, like with many things they're doing, it's nice and flexible. Now that said, I don't think this was ever a ginormous problem, but, I mean, for a lot of people, the idea of just being able to chill out in a few low-level characters is actually kind of cool. So that's kind of nice. Now, speaking of veteran-related things, they've given out a physical gift to people who have been subscribed to the game for basically its whole 10-year duration. It's a really awesome little thing, actually. It is a Orc Rider statue. It appears to be one of those sort of bronzed things, and it's like a miniaturized version of the big statue that they've got in the sort of quad of their offices in Irvine, California. So that's what's going on there. It's only available to the people, and it's for free, by the way, who have been subscribed to World of Warcraft for the full 10 years. I don't know if maybe you had like an account lapse or something during that 10 years. I don't know if that would void your eligibility. It might. I just don't know. I thought I'd just report though, because hey, this is cool. And you know what? If you don't have one, well, have a look at eBay. Maybe someone will be selling them, and maybe there's enough going out so that they won't be costing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars each. Maybe you could pick one of these up for $200 or $300 if you were really into the idea of getting one. Still, it's a really cool gesture. Actually, they didn't have to do that, so that's certainly nice. Now, let's hop on to two little bits of patch 6.1 news, and then after that, I'm going to talk about Blackrock Foundry and the release date of 6.1, or at least just some things that are worth knowing. So, we found out that the next stage of crafted gear is going to be available in patch 6.1. The armor will be item level 680, and the weapons will be item level 670. That's pretty nice, but it's funny how the crafted armor has panned out in this expansion. The amount of resources you sink into one of those crafted bits before it's a decent item level, it's just kind of insane. And actually, I saw someone make a really good point. It makes financially nearly more sense to buy the item level 665 BOEs than it does to actually craft the gear, unless of course you farm everything yourself. Because of the various prices of things. So that's what's coming in patch 6.1. Better crafted gear, better crafted weapons. 680 is very competitive with the Blackrock Foundry item levels, as is 670 for the weapons, and that's definitely nice and powerful. Another thing that they talked about on the Warcraft devs Twitter account for patch 6.1 is that they are actually going to be making Ashran queuing regional, like Battlegrounds. Now, previously and currently the way Ashran queuing works, I believe, is that you kind of have pools of servers that are just, like pulled together for Ashran, so that basically their whole idea was, in subsequent Ashrans you would be meeting familiar faces and it would sort of build up all of that stuff that perhaps we saw back in Wintergrasp when it was all in the same server and high participation rates meant that if you were lucky enough to be in a balanced server, Wintergrasp had a bit of camaraderie going on. Well, I think this is actually a bit of a funny move, because one of the criticisms that Blizzard gave of Wintergrasp was that it felt a little bit like a battleground, and now we've got a situation where at least the camaraderie of Wintergrasp is going to be impossible with patch 6.0, or 6.1 even, and it quite literally will be a battleground in that it's a region-wide pull for who gets pulled into Ashran. So while that does suck, and I think it's nearly funny looking at how it just has totally went against their original design in terms of the actual implementation and all the various flaws with it. You know, to the people who do actually enjoy doing Ashran all the time, these larger pools should mean far reduced queue times, which is obviously a very real benefit. As much as we can sit here and say, oh, the camaraderie is gone, their original design has been deviated from, blah blah blah. But really, ultimately, this means people are going to get shorter queues, and that's pretty much a good thing. Though, yeah, I suppose there is totally the downside. It's really strange how Ashran has panned out. It started off being this thing that had a lot of ambition, and it sounded so grandiose. And then we actually saw it in the beta, and a lot of people were just sort of, what? This is small, this isn't that grand at all, you've only got a few objectives, and so far it just feels like a bit of a Zerg in the middle. And then when it moved into live, people were just sort of thinking, well, this isn't that great, I'm going in here to pick up some quick little rewards from the bonus things, and farming the middle for broken bones, and maybe, if you're lucky, to somehow have it play out so that you actually get into the enemy's base and don't have the boss reset on you by some pillock who's being silly, and then maybe you can get a decent reward. Oh dear, Ashran really just hasn't panned out that well, has it? I hope they've learned a lot. They've definitely got a lot to learn from. There are good ideas in Ashran. It just feels like, the implementations has let it down, I suppose. And 6.1's more just going to let you get in there, but I don't know if it'll really fix many of the more fundamental issues, in my opinion anyway, with Ashran. Now that that's covered, let's hop on over to Blackrock Foundry in patch 6.1. I left this to the end of the show because, frankly, it's been out for a few days, so many of you will have already heard. But the Blackrock Foundry release dates are as follows. On February the 3rd, Normal and Heroic will open, and then Rookmar will be available in the Spires of Iraq as one of the world bosses. Then on the 10th of February, Mythic will become available. On the 17th, Raidfinder Wing 1, which is Gruul, Orgorger, and the Blast Furnace, will unlock. On February the 24th, Raidfinder Wing 2, which is Hansgar and Franzok, Flamebinder, Kargaz, and Kormog unlocks. That's going to be a really fun wing. They're all great bosses. Then on March the 10th, the third wing will open, which is Beastlord Darmak, Operator Throgar, and the Iron Maidens. And then finally, on the 24th of March, which is quite a bit after, we will get Wing 4, which is Blackhand's Crucible, which is basically just Blackhand himself. Overall, it sort of is in keeping with how they've done things with Highmaul. It's definitely sort of significantly paced out over time for the LFR unlocks. I think that's okay, though. LFR doesn't really play that major a role in Warlords of Draenor, and gear of similar quality is available elsewhere in the game. Now, you will need item level 535 to get into Raidfinder, and from what I've heard, Blackrock Foundry Normal is going to be balanced with the idea of you having sort of normal, a full set, like a full raid of normal Highmaul geared people, and then Blackrock Heroic, I think, will be based roughly on a full Highmaul Heroic group. That's just, I think that's what they said earlier on, so let's just stick with that. Overall, though, looks pretty cool from what I've played of Blackrock Foundry in the beta. It's really awesome. I think Hansgar and Franzok is one of the most fun fights there is, and Orgorger is actually really awesome too. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the Blackhand encounter though, because I haven't tried that, and I definitely want to do that on normal or above on my warrior, because you can actually get his big hammer on those difficulty levels, and it's just this full-on hammer. You can use it, and that will of course go very well with the transmog set that you get from the bunker. Now, there is one more other thing to talk about, and that's the release date of patch 6.1. This is more a clarification because I've seen so much confusion in various comment sections of both my videos and the internet in general. So, patch 6.1 does not depend on Blackrock and vice versa. So on the 3rd of February, Blackrock Foundry is coming out. That does not mean that patch 6.1 is going to come out then. They are not at all contingent on each other. So this Blackrock stuff's just going to play out as I've covered here, And as for the patch 6.1 release date, well, that's probably a little bit more in flux. That content still needs to be tested. Right now, the PTR is actually quite sparse in terms of what's on it. They definitely need to add a lot more things, like the Legendary Quest, like, you know, perhaps the stuff that's going on in the Iron Docks, the music system. Lots of things need to be added. So it's hard to say exactly when that will come out. I'm 99% sure it'll come out at some point before the final wing of Blackrock Foundry comes out. Perhaps the middle of February, or maybe the end of February would make a bit of sense for a launch window for patch 6.1. I think that overall makes sense, though maybe a little bit sooner would have been nice, because, well, you know, 6.0 is sort of wearing thin for a few people right now. And I guess if you compare it to patch 5.1, which did come out a lot quicker after Mists of Pandaria's launch, then maybe 6.1 might come off as being a little bit slow, but I'd say that 6.1 does look like it's got quite a lot of cool stuff coming. And also, 5.1 came out a bit too quick in the opinion of most people, myself included. I think it was too quick. And maybe I think Blizzard sort of saw with the endgame initial 5.0 stuff in Pandaria, a lot of people were just like, dailies, things happening, what's going on? You know, it wasn't that strong an endgame, I suppose, for some people. So then perhaps Blizzard sort of panicked a little bit and shot 6.1 out just a bit quicker than they probably should have. Hard to know, really. I actually didn't play Mists of Pandaria much until patch 6.1. I got basically just busy in September, only ended up playing that December, so the sort of 5.0 experience for me was just all the dailies of 5.0 and all the dailies of 5.1 mixed together. But because I hadn't played the game in a while at that stage, I was actually really hungry for it, so I didn't mind it that much. However, of course, the daily problem was totally a thing, and it does look like that's completely going to be avoided in patch 6.1. Anyway, the main point is patch 6.1 will come out at some point quite soon, and it does not depend at all on the Blackrock Foundry release schedule. That's really about it for the news today, so let me know what you think about the various things. Let me know what you would like to see from patch 6.1 in terms of just problems or something that you'd like to be fulfilled, and I will see you next time.